Alex McLeish is gone. Do I hear the faint ring of a D-ream of things can only get better moment for Aston Villa?
Well, I should imagine that most Villa fans will be rocking up to Villa Park with slightly more enthusiasm this season than they were this time last year. Villa are an interesting club because I'm really fascinated to see how Paul Lambert translates the kind of ideas that he implemented so brilliantly with Norwich into the new surroundings. There's obviously a bit more expectation going to be around Villa Park, and there's, you know, one would imagine slightly better raw material to be working with as well. That's not to underestimate some of the Norwich players who were fantastic last season, but there is some quite good quality young players at Aston Villa who you sense need a little bit more harnessing to really bring out the best of their talent. Mark Albrighton's a player that I've always quite enjoyed watching, for example. And I think that Gabriel Agbonlahor is someone that looks ready for somebody to really kind of unlock his potential again, because he seems to have drifted slightly from where he was a few years ago when he first broke through. There's got to be at least an idea at Villa that they're expecting to at least go and enjoy their football a little bit more this season. And one would anticipate, looking at the way Paul Lambert has been so far in his career, that they will fight like hell, and it won't be tolerated at all for any of the Villa players to coast. And there's been elements of bad behaviour in and around the squad over the last couple of years that's been allowed. That's going to be, you know, no chance, one would imagine. I think if you misbehave when Paul Lambert comes in, you probably won't last very long at Villa.
There's not been a load of new signings. There's been one or two. How do you think they've done enough? How do you think that the new guys coming in are going to be able to improve things?
Well, I think it's interesting that most of the new signings that have come in, and I think it looks like Lambert has a connection in Holland somewhere, because there's 3 new arrivals from the Eredivisie. They all seem to be in their mid to late 20s, so you'd expect them to be their kind of solid and experienced performance that he would expect to be able to slot straight in and perform in the Premier League. Plus, you've got Darren Bent, who is the archetypal like a new signing. You know, he'll be clearly an important presence back for Villa, and again, if he can be reinvigorated, I think that's a very good news aspect for them. And it's important from Villa's point of view that if you look at the fixture list, it's quite lucky that they don't actually see a member of the top 4 until around about November, I don't think. So they have got time to gel a new team together, to integrate a few new faces, hopefully without there being too much pressure and too many kind of real uphill task games. And that might be something that really works in their favour.
I think one thing that maybe I worry about just a little bit when I look at this team is that Shay Given really, towards the end of last season and into the Euros, really looked like a player who'd lost completely his confidence. And I don't know if it's a gradual decline or if it's something he can get over, but I mean, how big of an issue do you think that is for them?
It's a big issue for Shay Given. I mean, he's been a fantastic performer on the Premier League for a long period of time. But there is that thing with goalkeepers that when they go, they sort of go quite frequently. And I think it will be, not as easy as it might be with an outfield player who loses a bit of form for them to see if they can recover it. But then I suppose you only look at someone like Paul Scholes last season, and we write off experienced players at our peril sometimes. But I don't think it's necessarily a coincidence that Villa have gone out and bought Brad Guzan back to the club. So they have an option there that I think they'll probably feel that they can use if needed.